Welcome to the Afrocentric Woman, where our mission is to inspire Black women to heal core wounds and embrace a luxurious and abundant lifestyle. Thank you for joining me. Let's talk, sis.
Hello, family. I posted in the community tab that I was going to be doing a story time on the very last Dusty that I dated. And I've really been wanting to do it. Like when I record videos, I have a little list of videos I want to share with you all, and that one keeps coming up. It keeps coming up like, oh, I really want to share it. And I really admire the YouTubers who are super organized and have studios and and take extensive notes. Literally, some of them write scripts. Like they literally write the script and read it out, or they have a teleprompter. And you know, I'm not even built like that right now, y'all. I don't have the time. And I was thinking, sometimes when I do story times, it'll be a bit jumbled and bumbled because I remember different things at different times and not all sequential. And, you know, just sometimes my videos are a bit all over the place because I'm just chatting with you all and I'm just going off the top of my head. I have an idea in mind of what I want to share, but I don't have extensive notes. So that's what was delaying me in recording this video about the last Dusty, because I wanted to do it and make it all nice, and you know, perfectionism was really stalling it out. So I think it's probably just better that I just chat with you all like we homegirls, we friends, and me try to make a whole dissertation for y'all. So alright, y'all, here we go. Here's the story time on my last Dusty. So 2019, yeah, so 2019, okay, so I took 3 years off of dating. I've shared that on the channel before, but if you're new to the channel, welcome. I took 3 years off of dating. So from 16 through 2019, I did not date at all, nothing. And I finally started dating, and the first guy, well, I wasn't saying I was ready to date. I wasn't trying to date. I was just focused on my child and, you know, making sense. Like when you leave a narcissistic relationship, it can be very disorienting. And I didn't know what was happening at the time, but I was really just kind of healing from that toxic relationship. So I was focused on myself and my healing and business and things of that nature. So I wasn't thinking about dating. So this guy approached me at a work event, and I thought it was about work, and eventually I realized it wasn't about work. He was actually interested in dating me. So I was like, wow, you know, that was really unexpected, because I didn't put myself out there to date. I'm just going on about my everyday life, and I just happened to meet this guy at a work event who worked on a different project that someone I don't ever see except for, you know, for these special occasions. So he and I dated for a while. He didn't make a lot of money, but he was very generous to me. Like, he was very, very, very generous to me. He was generous to me, like, within the first week. He took me shopping, you know, like, he was very generous to me, always took me out, and anything I needed, he was there for me. And he was a good person and a good dad to his kids and stuff like that. And I knew that if I were to be with him, I was going to have a very modest lifestyle, you know. And I wasn't sure if I wanted that kind of lifestyle, but I was willing to try because he was very generous. I've also dated millionaires who are very stingy. So I mean, you can be wealthy and not share, you know, and you can not have a lot and be very sharing. So I was willing to give him a shot, just based off of his character and his generosity. He was physically not someone I would go for, economically not anybody that I would go for. But like I said, the character and the generosity made me want to give it a try. But for reasons not related to any of those things, we couldn't make a connection to date. And also, I mean, I was just really new. He's the first guy I dated in 3 years, so I probably made some mistakes, and I'm a bit rusty with dating, and So it just didn't work out. So after him, I ended up having some conversations. Maybe, did I go out with anybody? Maybe I did. But I met this younger guy online, and I was thinking, after that first guy, I was like, you know what, I don't want anything serious. I just want companionship, but I don't want anything serious right now. I need to kind of decide what I want to do. I really just needed to get my life together even further, as far as like, if I'm going to date, I need to have some type of strategy. I need to have my priorities. I need to know what I want. And I was like, you know what, until I figure that out, in the meantime, between time, let me just get a young guy for companionship. So I met this young guy, and oh my gosh, he's the Dusty. So I met him. He had a job, and I thought he had a car. He came over. He came to my business. We hung out. I saw him again. He drove. I think he drove. And then I don't know what the first lie was about the car. I don't even remember. I don't know if he lied that the car was broken down, or I don't know what the lie was, but he lied. So he's like, oh, I need to Uber there. So I think he Ubered to me. And eventually, like pretty quickly, it came out that like that was not even his car. And I remember going to the car and looking in the car, and it looked like I think it was like a Prius or something. And I'm not saying men don't drive Prius, but it just, the way that the car, stuff that was in the car looked very like it belonged to a woman. And sure enough, it did. Now, his story is that was his friend. I'm sure it was someone he was dating. So this Dusty then got this woman's car and took this woman's car to go see another woman. But Dusties do shit like that. So that happened. Okay, so probably within, I remember him going out of town. He did like some type of construction thing. So he was out of town, and we talked, a lot. But Dusties will love bomb you on the phone. So he was doing that. And we talked a lot on the phone, and then he came back into town. Maybe at that point, I'm sorry. See, this is why I wanted to make notes. At this point, I didn't know about the car. So he comes back into town. We're supposed to hang out, and he gives me an excuse as to why I need to pick him up. He's like, well, I parked my car somewhere else, and so I need you to come and get me, because they all go out of town on these jobs, and he was back in our city for the weekend, or however long he was going to be here. So I was like, fine, I pick him up. We end up picking him up at Walmart. We end up going in there, and I got some groceries and got some stuff, and he did take care of it. So I thought that was cool. But I think earlier that day, I think he had taken some other woman out to eat. And I was just kind of like, okay, so you take some other woman out to eat, but you want to Netflix and chill with me. Okay, make it make sense. I appreciate the groceries and all, but there's no reason why you shouldn't have taken me out to eat and bought the groceries. You know what I'm saying? Like, the buying the groceries does not opt you out of properly taking me out on a date. But again, I don't want to take him too serious. Like, I just see him as fun companionship, basically. But the lies are really irritating and annoying. So I think with me just questioning about the car, that's when I finally discovered, like, okay, that he's lying about the car. The car is not his. So anyway, let me think of what else is relevant to this part of the story. With him coming to my place, I do have a child, and so I do a background check on all the guys that I date. So I did a background check on him, and I discovered he had a record. It wasn't anything too crazy, but it was a record nonetheless. So I asked him, if there's anything he wanted to tell me. Oh my goodness gracious. I asked him if there was anything that he wanted to tell me, as far as his background. Does he have any, has he ever been to jail? I think he said no. So he lied to me. Because I think I specifically asked, hey, have you ever been to jail? You have any, encounters with law enforcement? Speeding tickets. That's what he. He didn't have a driver's license. He only had a state ID. And I was like, why don't you have a driver's license? And he was like, oh, because of speeding tickets. And then that kind of made me fast track the background check, because I really wanted to know, like, dude, why don't you have a driver's license? So I went ahead and paid for a background check, and got that, and realized, and I knew I let him lie for like 2 or 3 weeks. Like, I kind of started to like him a little bit, so I kind of just wanted him to come clean about what he had going on in his background. But he kept lying. He just kept lying until, I finally just confronted him with what I knew. So anyway, so there's that. He lost his job probably 3 weeks into us dating. He lost his job. So I began to have to pay for everything, like his Ubers. It's just weird if you're hanging out with someone and then it's like it's time to eat, and it's like, okay, I gotta buy food for you, I gotta buy food for my kid, and I gotta buy food for me. So it kind of just felt like I had an extra kid, and he had no shame in taking my money. None. Even though he knew I was a single mom, and he knew I wasn't getting, at that time, I think I was getting a little bit of support, but he knew it was very minimal to none. And he had no shame in using my money, eating off of me and being transported by me using gas to transport him around. He didn't have any shame about it. None. So this went on, and it pulls me out of character, because it makes me feel resentful. It makes me feel masculine. It makes me feel like nagging, because I have to ask you and tell you about stuff and you're not doing it. And I don't like to do any of those things. I don't like to have the super masculine role in my relationship, and I don't like to nag a man that I'm with, especially things that he should already know to do. So I started to feel a lot of resentment in this interaction. Now, with him, I had always been clear that I don't want anything serious with you. He knew I was older than him, and he knew that it was about companionship and dating, and not like, I'm gonna take you super, super serious. But and like I told him then, like, even though this is not a super serious relationship, even with us dating, I still have expectations and requirements. You don't get to just treat me any type of way because we don't have a title on this dating thing that we have going on. So because of that, I knew he was dating other women. I didn't care. And he knew I was dating other men. Eventually, I started dating other men and meeting other men. And at first he didn't care, and then he started to get real salty about that. And we can talk about that in another video, but I don't talk to men about my other men because they get really salty about it. Even though they can have like 5-6 women, but that's another topic for another day. So he would be still lying about different things, and things did get a bit murky for a bit because of all the time that we were spending with each other. I started to think like, well, he really ain't shit, but like, do I like him? Do I not like him? Like, does he have any potential of getting his life together? And I almost fell into that pick-me-sha. I almost fell into the handmaiden. I almost fell into the build-a-brother guild. I almost slipped back into that same thing. But me knowing, having left my ex-narc, that I can dedicate my life to building you up. And I will deplete myself, and I will have nothing to show for it. So I was definitely very leery of doing it, even though emotionally, because of the time and proximity, those thoughts were creeping into my head. But I always just kept it in check, because his character would always show through that, no, this guy is dusty, he's a liar, he doesn't mind using you. He doesn't have anything to offer. Keep in mind that he told me he lived with his sister, or that his sister lived with him. And then it went from, no, my sister don't live with me, I live with my sister. And then it went from my mother and me live with my sister. Well, no, what was really happening is that him and his sister's kids live with his mom. And he slept on the floor in the living room. Just complete dustacity. No car, no driver's license, just no skills, and just dusty, super dusty. So let me see what else is relevant to this story. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna help him find a job. So I started reaching out to my contacts, and I helped him with his resume. And there was a job opportunity for a construction project going on in my state. So we went. I don't know why this project was so hard to locate, but it was. As far as applying for the job, it wasn't online, and it wasn't easily available. I mean, I had to do research to even find out what company was doing this project. And I found out it was a joint venture between two big construction companies. And so anyway, I researched that and figured out, what we need to do and where one of the headquarters was in our downtown city. So we get his resume together, get him together. I take him to the interview, and I literally stay in the car. I'm in the car for about an hour and a half waiting on him to apply for the job and turn in the application and everything that needed to be done. So he came back to the car, and he was like, it's likely that they're going to hire me. They just going to do whatever drug test and this and this and that, and I'll be able to probably start. So he goes, he does a drug test, he passed the drug test, and they hire him, and he goes ahead and he starts his job. I think he was taking the bus, I don't remember. So he starts his job. So I'm thinking, you know what, maybe this dating situation is going to work out. He has a job now. He doesn't make very much money, but, at least he'll be able to take care of, himself and, everything that I've put into this as far as helping him find a job and allowing him to basically live off of me for these past few weeks. The least he could do is, take me out on a proper date and, get something nice for me, like once he gets money. So the first week he's working, he ends up coming on the payroll where the time that they're not going to get paid. So he doesn't get paid that weekend. He's blowing me up that whole weekend. We probably do end up spending some time together. So then second week he's working. This is the week that he's going to get paid. So he gets paid on Friday. So that Friday he got paid. Where he would normally call me or text me 4 or 5 times, he texted me once. Very vague. And I'm like, okay, bro, you got money, now you're trying to ghost me. So he texted me once, and then later on, I think he might have called. But honestly, I had a whole nother date, y'all, scheduled. I was at work. So this is a side note. So I was at work, and I was working late, and I was kind of, trying to finish up. And I ended up meeting this guy online. And we were talking online, and we ended up talking on the phone. And he was like, "You're so beautiful. Like, I really want to take you out. Please meet me for dinner tonight." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is such last minute. I don't know. And I don't have a babysitter. So I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able to go." He was like, will you please come? I will take care of your babysitter for you. And I was like, what? Like, this is the first time a man has ever offered to take care of the babysitter for me. And I really didn't have a reason to say no. I mean, I hadn't been on a date in forever. Keep in mind, I'm dealing with this Dusty. So I haven't been on a proper date. And this man is wanting to give me money for a babysitter and take me out to dinner. So I told him, yeah, I'll meet him for dinner. So I get everything situated with my child, and I get dressed up nice, and I meet him for dinner, and I have a good time. So I'm not really thinking about the Dusty, who's literally ghosted me pretty much the whole day. So I go out with this guy, and I come home, and I'm just relaxing and chilling, and my makeup is really pretty that day, so I'm taking some selfies, and I'm just hanging out, enjoying my own company, when the Dusty pops up in my house. And I'm like, what are you doing here? He has on new clothes and new shoes. So I said, oh, you went to the mall today? He was like, oh, yeah, I did. And I was like, yeah, you did. What did you get me? And he said, nothing. I'm like, oh, interesting. And he smelled like alcohol. I was like, you been out? He was like, no, oh, yeah, I just met my cousin downtown. I'm like, no, you didn't. You took Lisa out. We'll just call this girl Lisa. This is this woman who, the same woman that he took out that day that we went to Walmart and he bought me the groceries, her. I said, you took Lisa out, didn't you? He was like, no, I didn't. I said, yes, you did. Like, you have on cologne and new clothes. Like, you're not going to do all this to meet your cousin. Like, you were hanging out with that woman, weren't you? And so, that was that. So we can end that portion of the story there. Other things happen, but we can end that right there. So as time went on, the guy who paid for my babysitter, he was very generous to me. He got my hair, my nails done, gave me money like within the first week I met him. He would pay for my babysitter every time I wanted to go out, take me out. We would get bottles, VIP. He would send me Uber Black. Like, he was treating me so good. And he lived in a really nice area of town. So I could go over there, I could hang out at the pool, I could chill, like shop, whatever. It's just a nice area of town. So I really enjoyed spending time with him. It felt like an escape from the dustiness that I was experiencing, and being a mom and a business owner, and he was just my fun time turnip guy. And he took care of everything. So I'm spending more time with him, and so the Dusty is starting to feel some type of way. And I'm just like, bro, like, I don't have time for your drama, and your lies, and all of that, and so I just started to pull more and more away from him until I just had to cut him off completely and date other guys. And what I learned from the situation was, I learned a reiteration of something that I already knew. One principle that I do know is that a lot of times you will build up a guy, and there's absolutely no guarantee that just because you build up a guy that he's going to be loyal to you, that he's going to return the favor and hold you down the way you held him down. There's no guarantee of that. And I know that to be true. And this situation reiterated it to me. So I was holding him down when he didn't have a job, as far as transportation and food and whatever else. I was holding him down. I'm the one who helped him get the job he had. I'm the one who literally took him to the interview. But when the day he got paid, he went to go spend that money on himself and another woman. You see what I mean? Because that's just what dusty guys do, and I will never do that again. And that's why I vowed he will be the last Dusty I ever date in my entire life. I've never entertained a Dusty since then, and that was in 2019. We're in 2021. I have not entertained nary a Dusty because I'm not here for it. I'm not about that life. I want a man who's already established. I'm not trying to find a man who is in the mud and in the dirt and in the gutter, don't have no house, don't have no car, doesn't have a life, doesn't have his life together, doesn't have any skills, doesn't have character. doesn't have good judgment, doesn't have good management skills, isn't a provider and a protector. I'm not here for it. I'm only interested in dating a man who is established, who has good character, who's generous to me, who takes care of me. That's the type of interaction that I'm seeking, and that's all that I have experienced since then. I will never do that again. I'm not saying that most of the men I date, okay, so I'll make another video about, six-figure guys, because most of the men that I date earn more than six figures. But we can talk about that in another video. Although most of the men I date all earn over six figures, I'm not saying that I probably have gone out with some guys who are a little bit more on the modest side, but I wouldn't know it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't show that to me. They still take me to nice places. They still, valet my car and everything like that. So I don't, like, if they are of modest means, I wouldn't really know. I don't feel it in the date. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can maybe tell if they look at the bill and they're like, there's like a little bit of a little pain associated with it. I can probably tell, like, okay, he's shooting above his league. Like, and he'll kind of know it too. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times guys, like, if they realize you like certain things, like, a lot of times they'll back off if they feel like they can't do that for you, But the men that I have dated who have perhaps been of modest means, they still treat me really well. I haven't had a dusty experience since 2019. I don't do Netflix and chill. I don't do cheap dates. I don't do, low effort. I don't respond to low effort men. I only respond to men who put in effort to get my attention and my time. And I only respond to generous men, caring men, protective men, and men who provide. So yeah, so I don't know. So anyway, that's my story with the last dusty that I dated. He was a liar, a cheater, had a record. He wasn't doing anything to help himself. He wasn't enrolling in any programs to help himself. He felt absolutely no loyalty to me. Oh, he ended up coming up on some more money. I forgot about that. He ended up coming up on some more money. He lied about it at first. So he ended up coming up on some money, and he went and bought a car, which was a car that he really couldn't afford, because he wasn't going to be able to maintain this car, and the car was old. In other words, the car was like a souped up car with like a lot of like bells and whistles, and I think that that's why he wanted that particular car. But the car was old, and you could tell that it was going to need a lot of maintenance, and I don't think he would have been able to afford that maintenance. I would have probably just tried to get a really nice car that's simple, if I was in his economic position. But anyway, he went out and bought a car, and he had some money, and he was buying other stuff, and he was going out, and I really wasn't hearing from him like that. And I asked him, like, where's this money coming from? And he said, oh, my dad was holding money for me, and I just went ahead and had him give it to me. And I was like, bro, your dad is on drugs. Like, your dad is not able to hold on to money. So if you give him money, he's going to spend it on narcotics. So that's not true. Your dad was not holding money. Like, where did this money come from? And he kept lying for a while, and he realized I wasn't buying it. So he was like, well, I went to the casino and won this money. And I said, oh, well, when did you go to the casino? And that was, and to this day, I don't know if that's true or a lie. I have no clue where the money came from, but he came up on some money. But yeah, he just started acting even worse. Once he got the car, he acted even worse than he did before having a car. So it's like, listen, I don't care what type of connection that we have, and I don't care about the companionship that we have shared. Nothing in this world is going to give you the right to talk to me crazy and treat me bad. I'm not here for that from anybody, and it's not worth it to me. If you're going to be in my life, you do not need to be my boyfriend. I don't think I want you to be my man. But every man in my life treats me wonderfully. Every man at every level, all the men in my life treat me wonderfully. And you, sir, are no exception. And I'm going to have to let you go because you are not treating me to my standards, and the other guy definitely spoiled me. Like after I getting treated, after being with him, I was just never going to go back to dustacity. I'm immune to dustacity. I'm never, ever going back to dustacity. I am spoiled. I'm spoiled rotten, okay, by this man. I am spoiled rotten by this man, and this is just what it's got to be at this point in time. You got to either do what he's doing for me or you got to do more. I'm not here for the rest of it. So that's my stories. Tell me what you think. What did it take for you to stop dating dusties? Are you still dating them? Can you relate to anything that I shared in my story? I look forward to reading your comments. Peace.
Thank you so much for sharing your time and attention with the Afrocentric Woman. Special gratitude to our subscribers. If you'd like to stay connected with this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so by hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell. If you like this content, please hit the like button. If you have any comments or thoughts about the content shared, please drop down into the comment section and let us know. Remember, you are worthy, you are enough, you are unique, and you are lovable. And I appreciate you.